Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video. In today's video, we're going to go over the most common neck pain pattern that I see in my practice. Most of the time when people come in with this pattern, they complain that they can't turn their head over their left or right shoulder. They can't check their blind spot without getting a pain pattern that looks something like this. The pain pattern kind of starts out, maybe just behind the ear at the lateral portion of the neck, and then it spans down and kind of runs down the border of the scapula. Sometimes it can run out into the posterior shoulder as well. Most of the time there's just a limited range of motion. You can't quite get your chin all the way over to your shoulder. Another motion that might make this muscle stand out when it's in spasm is a shoulder elevation or even a shoulder depression. If you're trying to pin your ear against your shoulder or this lateral flexion this way, sometimes that can make the pattern flare up as well. Today we're going to go over the anatomy and physiology behind that pain pattern. Then I'm going to show you a few things that you can try at home to try and get rid of it. If none of those things work, you can check the link out in the description below this video and you can book a session with me. And this is one of those muscles that really releases almost every time. So if you woke up this morning, you've got the classic crick in your neck, you can't turn your head over one shoulder or the other, this video is for you. Before we go over some of these self-help techniques, if you guys could please take the time to like these videos if you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. You'll be notified when I make more videos like this. Clicking that like button and subscribing are the best ways to help me grow this channel. I appreciate it. So to take a look at this levator scapula muscle, we're going to come in here, come underneath the trapezius, which I have highlighted in blue. And that muscle there, we can see the insertion of it at that superior angle of the shoulder blade. To find its origins, we have to remove the sternocleidomastoid and the splenius muscle groups. And there's the levator scapula there. Looking at it by itself, we can really see clearly that the origins lie at the cervical vertebras C1 through C4, those red boxes there, and the insertion lies at this superior angle of the scapula. The levator scapula muscle gets its name from its action. It assists the upper trapezius muscle fibers in elevating the scapula, or elevating the shoulder blade. As well as the shoulder elevation, if we look at it from the side, we can notice that the scapula is also pulled forward slightly to follow the curvature of the neck. A tight levator scapula can also contribute to a slouched type posture. This muscle is innervated by the dorsal scapular nerve, this nerve that I have highlighted in blue. Now, notice how this nerve follows the pathway of the pain pattern that goes along with spasms in this muscle. When one portion of this nerve gets excited by inflammatory substances in the body, it can excite the whole nerve pathway. And this is this referral pain pattern, or the nature of these trigger points, how you can press on one spot and feel it refer to a different area. The muscle's blood supply is the dorsal transverse scapular artery. So for most people, the most common habit that can cause an irritation in the levator scapula muscle is from side sleeping. Now, sleeping on your side is not necessarily the problem. The problem lies in how close your shoulder is to your ear, or how elevated your scapula is when you fall asleep. In the same way that you can get out of a car after a long car ride and it kind of takes you a minute to lengthen those muscles that were shortened during the ride, the same thing happens at night. Our muscles kind of get comfortable in those shortened states when we keep them short all night. So first thing in the morning, when you go to let that shoulder back down, usually it creates the spasm. Then throughout the day, you can't really turn your head over your shoulder. Another common cause for spasms in this muscle is carrying a heavy bag over one shoulder. The levator scapula muscle is a pretty thin muscle, and although it has the upper trapezius fibers to help it out with elevation, the levator scapula is notorious for going into spasm under heavy loads. Soon after, I share with my clients that the levator scapula muscle elevates the shoulder, And after I tell them that that muscle's tight, naturally, most of my clients want to try and depress their shoulders, or they say, oh, I try and stretch it at home. And they walk in and they kind of try and push their shoulder down. A big reason why the levator scapula muscle is really difficult to release at home is because of the common misunderstanding that if I push my shoulder down, I can release this muscle or stretch this muscle out. That's not the case, and I'm going to show you why. Now, although the levator scapula muscle gets its name from elevating the scapula or elevating the shoulder blade, the other action that it does that helps depress the shoulder. During shoulder depression, the levator scapula muscle actually tightens. It tightens to help sort of upwardly rotate the scapula. So because of this, it can be a really tricky muscle to try and release at home. In most cases, if you're trying to take care of this pattern at home, you're going to need a third force or something that's going to help you push that scapula away from those transverse processes in your neck. So here are a few things that you can try. One of the most effective ways that you can alleviate a levator scapula muscle spasm at home is to simply use a piece of fabric. I've seen people use belts, ropes, anything that's relatively this long or longer, and you're simply just going to throw this over your shoulder. Now, the same side that you feel that pain pattern on, you want to keep your fist in the front, okay? Now, keeping my fist in the front, see if I can turn around. Now, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I just grabbed the bottom of this fabric, okay? Back here, you want to find this top medial border of your scapula, okay? You want to make sure that this fabric runs over that corner of the scapula, okay? That's called the superior angle. Now, once you get that fabric right in the right spot, you kind of want to feel it hook onto your shoulder blade. All I'm doing, now you don't want to shrug against yourself. You don't want to fight yourself while you try and do this. Now, if I just pull down on this back hand, you see how that sort of pulls that scapula down and away from my neck? Once I get to that point, I can already feel the stretch kind of running up behind my ear, right? Should feel like you're dead on, especially if this muscle's giving you trouble. So once I pull back on that arm, if I then kind of turn my head and look at the opposite front pocket, I can feel a direct stretch going from that superior angle of the scapula and coming up all the way to those transverse processes in the neck, okay? Now, another thing that you can do is you can try this muscle hook. I've showed you guys this in a few other videos. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can order that off of Amazon. It's not too expensive. There are other versions of these, but again, you want something that's kind of sturdy so you're not gonna break it when you really pull down on it. And same kind of thing. I'm using this larger hook. Some people like to use the smaller one. So I'm trying to find that point. I'm kind of coming in diagonally this way, okay? I can hit the transverse processes here. I sort of rake across them, and I can follow that muscle all the way down. And once you get to that superior angle of the scapula, or just maybe 2 fingers diagonally toward your neck from it, right where this point is, you'll feel where the twist in that muscle is. A lot of the time people think it's a knot in their back, but really the fibers in that muscle have a natural twist, so that little clunk is always going to be there. But once you find that spot, you can really wrench down on it. You might feel that pain pattern kind of light up if you find the trigger point. And at this point, I like to kind of turn my head left and right. And you really know when it releases because one, when your shoulder was elevated like this, as soon as you get that muscle to release, you'll notice that your shoulders are going to be more even, okay? Typically, the side that's bothering you is going to be the one that's elevated. A lot of people sleep on their side, right? And they'll sleep with their shoulder against their ear. And then you go to get up in the morning and it's like, oh, I can't turn my head this way. They walk in and say, oh, I can't turn my head. By the time they're done, you want to see that shoulder correct itself. You want to see the posture change to know that you did everything correctly. So if you guys have tried all of these techniques at home and you're still having a bit of pain, then please go ahead and take the time to come see me. There's a link in the description box below this video that'll lead you to my website. And if you scroll down on the home page, there's a video that shows you how to book your session online. I don't have a lot of time to get to the phone. I'm a terrible receptionist. So that's definitely the easiest way to get a session with me. I've been a little booked out for the last few weeks, but hopefully this video will help you try these things multiple times a day. See if you can get rid of it at home. And if not, I'll be happy to see you soon. I'll see you guys in the next video.